Today I'm going to continue going over the scripts of Cyanide Friends Season 3. Let's begin. We're going to start with Body Jacked. We start the episode with Cyanide, Cosma, and Natsuki going to the mall to pick up a new game, in hopes that it won't turn out like that bootleg isekai fighting game from Cyanide Reviews. When they get there, Cyanide goes to the bathroom, but suddenly he gets decapitated and the shadowy figure responsible for it takes his body and runs off. Cyanide survives this thanks to being a mutated human. After waiting, Cosmo checks the bathroom to find Cyanide's head on the bathroom floor. He picks him up and goes back to Natsuki, where they go to the police station to get this situation figured out. After showing Cyanide's head to the police officer, he freaks out and shoots himself, just like the cop from Cyanide's car problem when he witnessed the car driving itself. Right after that, a new character comes out, Chief of Police Graham Cracker. His last appearance was at the very end of Sayori's job. Cracker says finding Cyanide's body is not his problem, so the trio leave the station. Coming home for help, they try to recruit Doggo for her strong sense of scent, but she's feeling sick, even though she denies it. Instead, Monica and Wiz help, and Monica finds the coordinates of Cyanide's body parts. This is actually the same way they found Datsky in Daddy Issues, or the 6 contestants in Pinchot's Variety Hour. Cyanide's torso is found at Mafia Man's lair, where he's been practicing tattoo art. He's happy to give the torso back for $60, which the group decides to pay and save the new game for later. That was the regular price for games at the time the script was written. I miss this time. After that, they go find Cyanide's arms. One of his arms is at Pinchot's studio, with Pinchot immediately giving the arm to Cyanide after trying to replace his metal arm. The next arm is at the shooting range where Boba Fett uses it as a cup holder for his beer. Boba tries keeping it, stating that he bought it fair and square, but is then shot in the leg by Cyanide, whose neutral special is he wields a gun. After getting his arm back, he shoots Bubba in the other leg for revenge for laughing at Wiz in the episode Wiz's Shop. Finally, they find his legs, which is in the same spot. Monica knocks on the door and the shadowy figure answers it. It's then revealed that he made a robot Cyanide and kept its legs for it. It attacks Cyanide and Wiz, but they manage to dodge and Cyanide tries shooting at it with his pistol. Natsuki then gets the idea for Cyanide to shoot his legs off with the robot, which Cyanide does. And after the robot is decommissioned, Cyanide gets his legs back and punches the Shadow Man. Everything's fine until they realize that Cyanide still has a tattoo. The episode ends with Cyanide getting the tattoo removed, screaming in agony. Maybe we'll explore the idea of Cyanide being able to detach his limbs in the hard reboot. Anyway, next script, Fluff Trio. We start with Sayori and Doggo playing Smash Bros. Ultimate with Union on the rear couch reading something. Doggo and Sayori be their usual goofy selves, and Union giggles from afar. Then, Doggo decides she wants to go for a walk, and Sayori goes to grab her leash. But before leaving, Sayori notices Union zoning out, and suggests that they invite her as well. Doggo eventually agrees and they invite Union to join them. On the walk, Doggo ends up chasing a raccoon, with Sayori and Union chasing after her. The raccoon leads Doggo to her home before she even moved in with Minotti, a dumpster she dubbed Viva la Dumpsta. She explains to Sayori and Union her time living in this dumpster, until Sayori remembers that she wants to show them something. When they get home, Sayori opens a door that would not only lead to the bathroom, but would also lead to a closet. They go inside and start looking around. Sayori ends up tripping over an anal probe that was last seen in the Cyanide Reviews episode, Alien Abduction. Union finds an old fanfiction I wrote once in high school. That's not a joke, it's very real, and I hate it. After that, Sayori finds a fidget spinner, and Doggo makes a Vine Sauce reference. But then Sayori pulls some sheets off of a game show wheel, revealing it to be the suicide wheel. I mentioned this in a previous video. Unknown to the truth of the wheel, and for concern of Cyanide's safety, they bring it up to Monica and Natsuki, who tell them that it's nothing to worry about and that they'll talk to Cyanide about getting rid of the wheel. The episode ends with Union suggesting they read the fanfiction. I don't even know why I mentioned it, let's just move on. Next script, Wiz Protection Agency. The episode starts with Cyanide and Wiz finishing their duties at the shop. When they leave, they get stopped by a mugger, who is easily defeated by a punch from Cyanide. The mugger would then come back the next night with a gun, but Cyanide has a gun too, so he retreats. The next day, Cyanide, thinking the mugging attempts are getting out of hand, is sitting on the couch contemplating something. Doggo offers her help, which gives Cyanide the idea to start the Wiz Protection Agency. Later that night, when they go to pick up Wiz, she is met with the same mugger who now has 2 people with him. Cyanide and Doggo show up in full tactical gear and shoot the mugger's friends. The muggers retreat, and Cyanide explains the new agency to Wiz, who reluctantly agrees. A few days later, Wiz is preparing to leave the house to start her shift, but a helicopter lands in front of her and Cyanide reveals it's for them. After a hard of hearing helicopter bit, they're now at the shop, and Cyanide introduces her to 3 new agents, who are named after and voiced by 3 fans of the show, Wraith, Moody, and Melon Sonic. They go inside and explain the situation to Sammy and Minotti, and then Aqua enters and is immediately detained by the 3 agents. Cyanide orders them to let her go, and Aqua just calls them all crazy. Then she leaves and Graham Cracker enters after answering a disturbance call. Cyanide just explains that they're mercenaries, and Cracker accepts the answer and decides to arrest the person who called the cops about this. Later that night, they're preparing to close the shop. Cyanide sends Wraith and Moody outside to watch for the muggers, who, of course, appear in greater numbers. The agents kill the muggers, and Cyanide takes Wiz back home. Another day, Wiz enters the shop to find it filled with agents. She asks Wraith for Cyanide's whereabouts, and Wraith asks the rest of the agents to give her a path to the back of the shop. Wiz then tells Cyanide that the Wiz Protection Agency is going too far, and while she appreciates that he wants to protect her, she can protect herself. Cyanide agrees and dismisses the agents. The episode ends with the couple hugging, Doggo making it awkward, and them having a normal day. I doubt this idea would return for the reboot. Next script, the 4th wall. We start with Doggo playing with her tennis ball, until she ends up throwing it at the camera, shattering the 4th wall. She starts getting scared. But then, the shot moves to Aqua's room, where she tells the audience to get out and go bother Cyanide. Speaking of which, now we're at the living room and some of the gang are watching TV. They notice the audience, and when Megumin tries asking Pinchot if she can be on Pinchot's Variety Hour, a laughing track plays, clearly spoofing shows that abuse that track. Some shows that come to mind are The Big Bang Theory and iCarly. After that, they go to Yuri, who is just playing Counter-Strike Surf. She's still rather timid. So now the audience goes to Sayori's room to find her and MC playing Mario Kart. After noticing the audience, they eventually start insulting MC and blaming him for Sayori's suicide in DDLC. Sayori tells the audience to leave, and they go to the other living room with JFK and Minotti. JFK asks the audience if they want to watch the game with him, and Minotti asks if they're criminals, with both answers being no. So again, they tell them to leave. Then they go to Monica's room, where Monica and Matt Hardy play a tune on the piano. Then they go to the kitchen to find Darkness, where she gets them to insult her and throw bricks at her. Then Union comes in, almost getting hit by a brick. And then she lets Doggo back in, where she explains that she was the cause for the 4th wall being broken. After the audience accepts Union's friend's request, the secret is safe with her, and Darkness. But then, we go to Sammy's house, with him waking up from a nap on his couch. He tells the audience to go back to Cyanide's house and that he'll be there in a minute. When the audience comes back, Natsuki leaves, and then Aqua comes in and tells the audience to leave her house, to which Cyanide correcting her that it's his house. Darkness and Union plead with Cyanide to not make the audience leave, where Darkness shows them her new brick throwing bit. The shot changes and Cyanide gets hit in the face with a brick. Wiz demands the audience apologizes, and then Sammy enters. When Cosma asks why the audience is here, Union accidentally spills the beans, and of course, Megumin suggests that Cyanide kick Doggo out. He doesn't do so, and wants to grab AK but is dissuaded by Wiz. Sammy and Aqua would start arguing, where Sammy starts a new beatbox with stupid and dumb. Stupid and dumb, stupid and dumb, stupid and dumb, stupid and dumb. Afterwards, the 4th wall gets restored because Cosmo bought a new one. The episode ends with Aqua telling Sammy to go home. This argument may or may not be leading up to something bigger. Next script, the science experiment. MC is sitting at the table in the kitchen with a baking soda volcano set, and after demonstrating it to Megumin, Megumin gets really interested in it, even trying it herself. She then gets MC to get another set. When MC goes to get the set, he meets with Sayori who wants to watch a movie with him, but MC declines to do the volcano experiment with Megumin. Sayori gets sad but is startled by Union, who overheard the whole thing. Seeing MC and Megumin doing a science experiment, they decide to do a science experiment of their own. I wonder how that's gonna go. In one of their rooms, they're working on a concoction, with the last ingredient being element 115, the same element used in Call of Duty Zombies. What that element's doing in the closet, I have no idea. Anyway, they get Doggo to drink it, and if you know Call of Duty zombie lore, I think you know where this is headed. Doggo turns into a zombie, and attacks an entering Chimusuke. The 2 zombies then leave the house with the duo hoping that the potion will wear off. At night, Zombie Doggo and Chimusuke come back, and stating the stench from the corpses, Cyanide tells Darkness to give Doggo a bath. This leads to Doggo attacking Darkness, thus turning her into a zombie. Cyanide grabs AK and shoots the zombies. Aqua would then resurrect him and undo the zombie effects. Doggo tells Cyanide what happened while she was a zombie, and when Sayori and Union enter, they blame the whole thing on Megumin because of her doing the volcano experiment with MC. Rav then calls Cyanide to show him the zombie apocalypse plaguing Fort Inkay. Aqua suggests using Turn Undead, which is a sound idea, but the problem is Wiz would be affected too due to being a lich. Cyanide disagrees until Rav suggests that he takes Wiz out of the city so Aqua can use her spell. He agrees and the Call of Duty Zombies jingle plays, starting the waves. Wiz leaves with Rav, and the rest of the gang guard the house and Aqua. After surviving waves and a ray gun joke, they start getting overrun, but Aqua uses her Turn on Dead spell on the city, ending the zombie apocalypse. Afterwards, Rav returns with Wiz, and she hugs Cyanide, and warns him about Sierra and Union attempting to quietly leave. He grounds the two. Then, we're at Sammy's house where he's selling the mystery box to Mafia Man, but with bad luck they get the teddy bear, thus making the box disappear. At the end, MC reconciles with Sayori, and Union hopes to do the same with Megumin, but no luck for her. While this idea may not be recycled, it was cool to see one of my voice actors suggesting ideas for the show. Next script, Sammy and Minotti's schemes. We start with Wiz and Cyanide ending their shift at the shop. Wiz shows concern about Sammy and Minotti taking over when they leave, but Cyanide assures her thanks to Sammy's experience in owning a used car dealership, and the fact that they have security cameras. The duo enter when the former leave, and Sammy tells Minotti about the shop's shortcomings. Nothing is selling, and the shop is losing money. So they decide in order to save the shop, they're going to pull some schemes. First they start with attempting to steal a busted wooden boat. Minotti jumps in and stays in the water to the point where there was going to be an ending fake out. He resurfaces and they go to a meteorite to grab ingredients for space meth. In the shop's basement, the duo start cooking the meth, and with 35 pounds made, they're excited that they'll be saving the shop and having extra money left over. After pre-celebrating, they wonder how they're going to sell it. Minotti suggests they sprinkle it on cupcakes, to which he manages to persuade Natsuki to teach him how to bake. After that, they sprinkle the meth on the cupcakes, and they go out and start pushing. Customers include the Pepsi Predator, Bubba Fett, One Shot Pinshot, Loner Guy, and Mafia Man. The next one is Datsky, who starts off $20 short, but is then threatened when he starts getting curious about the cupcakes. The last customer being Graham Cracker, who fakes arresting them for his own amusement. After he leaves, the duo find out that they made over $75,000, and after selling the next 33 pounds, which would be up to $1 million, and they start celebrating. The next morning, Datsky goes to Cyanide's house and asks for his and Natsuki's attention. Datsky reveals that he bought methamphetamine and shows them the cupcake he bought. After explaining the situation, Cyanide and Natsuki realize that it was Sammy and Minotti. So Cyanide tells Datsky to go home and Natsuki to stay at the house and that he will handle it. Later on, Cyanide investigates the shop and moments later, Sammy and Minotti enter, and Cyanide starts asking about the meth. After threatening to call the police, Sammy shows in the basement and eventually explaining that they did this to save the shop. Cyanide will abide by this under 3 conditions, one being that if they get caught, Cyanide and Wiz won't be involved, the second being that Cyanide and Wiz get a 25% cut of the meth money, and third being that they will give Natsuki and her father $1,000 each, and for Minotti to apologize to Natsuki for using her. Sammy and Minotti reluctantly agree and the episode ends. This was very much a Roan parody of Breaking Bad. Next script, Blue's Clues. The episode starts with Sayori sitting on the thinking chair. Aqua reveals that she tried to use it to think, but it didn't work, which leads Cyanide and Cosmo to burst out laughing. After the laughing fit, Doggo puts her paw print on the screen, much like the titular show this episode is based on. Chimusuke does the same, and they try to get the prints off the camera. Eventually Aqua uses her water magic to clean it, and Cosmo gets everyone into the living room. Minotti says they're missing somebody, which leads to Sammy entering and playing the game, and JFK leaving to watch a football game. Cyanide explains the teams they'll be going on, and at first Aqua demands to be off of Wiz's team, until Cyanide scares her. Doggo and Chimusuke say that they're all set up and the gang starts looking for clues. The first one being Doggo's first clue, Yuri's maid outfit. Rav informs everyone that there are no other clues in the house, and that the gang would have to leave to find the clues. Wiz's group goes to a nearby forest. Natsuki tells R3 to run a scan, who does so to find a life form in the bush. Darkness volunteers to check it out, and gets attacked by the creature in the bush. Yuri joins in to kill the creature, upsetting Darkness, and they find out that the creature was a badger. This badger would also have Chimusuke's paw print on it, which is their first clue. Wiz draws it in a notebook and Megumin leads the group to the mall. Back with Doggo's group, they find a Japanese-style store called Zen Garden, which is based on a real place at my mall. They even let me take pictures for the background. Anyway, they browse the store looking at katanas, body pillows, and posters. As it turns out, Doggo's paw print is on the poster with a pair of boobs. Doggo then clarifies that the clue is the booba, and Cyanide draws them for their second clue. A maid outfit and boobs doesn't narrow anything down. Then they hear the mail time jingle, and Sayori volunteers to check it out. At the mall with the Chimusuke group, they end up going to Spirit Halloween. Megumin scares Aqua and Darkness in a clown mask, and gets punched by Darkness for her trouble. It is then revealed that Chimusuke's print is on the mask, and Wiz draws it. 2 clues for each group, a maid outfit and boots for Doggo, and a badger and a clown mask for Chimusuke. Got any ideas? Let me know in the comments down below. Anyway, again, the mail jingle plays, and they get Aqua to go check it. Back at the house, Aqua and Sayori meet. Sayori tries doing the jingles, and they open the letter from Loner Guy. Aqua quickly closes the envelope, with even Sayori saying she was right to do that. So now Aqua leaves, and the doggo group return home, as they've given up the search. In the mall parking lot, Aqua finds an alligator and calls for Wiz and Union's help. Wiz ends up teleporting the gator unknowingly to Loner Guy's house. Back at the house, Doggo tries to get her group to continue the search, but they don't know where else to look. So she ends up skidooing into a dragon TV show that they were watching. Minati tries jumping in but fails, and then the group skidoos into the show and meet with Doggo. Doggo's last clue is revealed to be a dragon, which Cyanide tries to draw but fails to the point where he throws a notebook on the ground and it explodes like an Aqua Teen Hunger Force prop. Even so, they get excited as they found all 3 clues and now have to make it back to the thinking chair. Back at the mall, the Chimusuke group goes to GameStop, and they find her last clue being a copy of Payday 2. Wiz draws it, perfectly I might add, and they go back to the house. As they return, the Doggo group skidoos back from the TV, and Cyanide sits on the thinking chair with Wiz on his lap. Alright, have you guys figured it out? Let's go over the clues. Doggo's clues are a maid outfit, a pair of boobs, and a dragon, while Chimusuke's clues are a badger, a clown mask, and a copy of Payday 2. Here's the answers. What Chimusuke wants to do is watch the Russian Badger Payday 2 videos, and Doggo wants to watch Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. Cyanide is particularly upset because Doggo literally could have told them, making their Blue's Clues game a waste of time. The episode ends with Megumin and Chimusuke watching Badger, Doggo watching Dragon Maid, and Wiz taking Cyanide to his room to cuddle and calm him down. Geez, this was a pretty big script, even longer than the next script. Next script, Cloverfield. We start with Cyanide, Wiz, Kazuma, and Megumi watching the first Cloverfield movie. Aqua comes in, wanting to show them a new trick, which is just Aqua changing the blue color on her to a rainbow. After that, Megumin ends up wanting to go fishing, which seems rather random but it's for the plot. The other 4 end up agreeing and go to the nearby lake to fish. Megumin gets bored immediately until she manages to catch something. A dead fish. Kazuma would also catch something, and it ends up being a parasite from the Cloverfield movie, which scares Aqua. She squirts water at it, which makes it stop shrieking for a bit, and then Cyanide shoots it. Then, a smaller version of the Cloverfield monster comes out of the lake, and Cyanide manages to tame him with the power of metal. This would not actually work. Anyway, Cyanide and Megumi decide to keep him and name him Clover. He argues with Aqua until a police cruiser comes by. Of course, we continue to gag with the lower police officer shooting himself, leading Cracker to take over. He decides that he's not going to deal with the monster, so he calls the Florida State Guard, and Cyanide tells Clover to run. The 4 manage to get Aqua to distract the State Guard by using her new rainbow trick while they go find Clover. At the shop, Sammy and Minati hear Clover's roars, and decide they want to try and kill the monster for monetary gain. At the park, Doggo, Sayori, Union, MC, and Darkness hear the roars as well, and Union decides to attract the monster with her lightsaber. Back at the lake, the general of the State Guard, General Shepard, scolds Aqua and gets his men to start searching for the monster. On the city streets, the 4 hear sounds of lightsaber and ritual flames. Yeah, Minati was gonna have ritual flames, but we never got the chance to show it. Unfortunately, we won't be able to see that in the reboot because Minati resigned. We're still friends, he's just not interested in voice acting anymore. Knowing this, Cyanide calls Sayori and Sammy to tell them that Clover is his pet. He gets Sammy to tell Minati to stop his ritual flames, and tells Sayori to make sure Union can attract Clover, but to not harm him. They both agree and do what was requested. Cyanide's group start heading to the park. Then we see a bit of a soldier suffering from a parasite bite. Aqua sprays water on the wound, leading the soldier to combust. At the house, the remaining house members are watching the news in horror. JFK thinks he can give the monster a knuckles sandwich, but is talked out of it. Monica gets off the phone and informs the group that Clover is Cyanide's pet, with some of the members not surprised at all. Matt Hardy would then suggest that he takes R3 into the city to amplify his volume and play calming music for the monster, and they go to execute it. Cyanide's group is on their way to the park, but they are stopped by General Shepard, who is demanding that they stand down so the State Guard can take out the monster. They argue, and after Kazuma uses steel to take Shepard's revolver, Shepard tells the State Guard to stand down and to let the group deal with it. But suddenly, a pair of A-10 Warhawks start their airstrike on Clover, but it is revealed that Shepard never had the chance to call them off, but states that he hasn't ordered any more strikes. Union continues to attract the monster, and her group finds out that Darkness is just up ahead in her attempt to stop Clover. He just moves Darkness to the side and continues to the park. As he arrives, some beautiful music can be heard, and it is revealed to be Matt Hardy holding R3 hovering just nearby. This is probably the only time besides Just an Average Day 2 where we see Matt's powers as a demigod. Cyanide and Wiz then get Clover's attention and get him to calm down. When all is said and done, they're back at the lake, where Shepard reveals that the city of Fort Inkay and the state of Florida has granted Cyanide permission to keep Clover as a pet. But Clover has to stay in the lake due to his size. The episode ends with Clover going into the lake, and Aqua being an upset bitch about it as usual. This episode would have been ambitious with a lot of Gary's mod. Will this be recycled? Who knows. Let's move on to our final script. Last script, Doggo's crush. Doggo watches the couples of the house, Sayori and MC, Cyanide and Wiz, Cosmo and Megumin, and even a bit of Monica and Matt Hardy, and gets jealous and lonely. Sayori and Union notice that Doggo looks depressed, so they try to cheer her up by taking her to the park. At the park, Doggo starts asking Sayori what it's like to be in a relationship. After connecting the dots of Doggo being jealous, the two try to gas her up, but Doggo just doesn't believe them. That is until she bumps into somebody, a tall, blue-haired girl named Ryu. Doggo apologizes, which surprises Sayori, and she starts complimenting Ryu's clothes, who does the same to Doggo. Sayori and Union then realize that Doggo developed a crush, and so Doggo asks Ryu out to an ice cream date, in which she accepts. Sayori takes Doggo's collar off, and the two go off on their date. The date goes pretty well. Doggo would notice Ryu's accessories, being dragon claws, horns, and a tail, and so they set up another date the next night to a forest. And when Ryu leaves, Doggo finds that Sayori and Union were at the ice cream shop as well, and now know about the next date. Union immediately starts shipping Doggo and Ryu. In the evening, Union's drawing something, and Megumi notices and wants to know more. After snatching the drawing from Union, Megumi finds out about Doggo's date, and decides to congratulate her. When she comes in, Megumi feigns happiness for Doggo, but would start roasting her shortly after. She leaves after striking a nerve. Doggo starts having second thoughts about the date, but she decides to go anyway and hope for the best. The next day, Sayori and Union get Doggo prepared, and she leaves for the date. When she arrives at the park and meets with Ryu, Ryu would then reveal that she's a dragon. Were you surprised? When Doggo asks to show her, Ryu transforms to prove it. Ryu admits that she tries not to transform much after seeing what the Florida State Guard has done to Clover. But then Doggo takes her home to meet her friends. She introduces Ryu to the gang, but not to all of them as Ryu had to go, and she leaves. Doggo was about to tell them about Ryu being a dragon, but the gang knew anyway. Cosmo saying that they knew from the claws, horns, and tail, and Cyanide saying he knew from, "Hey, I'm Ryu." And then the episode ends. This seems like an anticlimactic end for this video, I know, but there's a reason this script was added. Join me next time when I go over the 2-part Season 3 finale. See ya then!